Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Did it auto switch over? Did it do what it was supposed to do? No way. Did it auto switch? It doesn't look like it on my end. On my end, I don't know what the heck it's doing. It didn't pull up nothing. Hang on here. Did I not connect it? I think I'm going to have to post this because I don't think I connected it. I think I made a mistake. Let me see. So analytic editor. Well, it's too late now. So hopefully everyone will find their way in. I think I forgot to include the link. So hang on one second. Let me create a post so everyone knows where to find us here. Sorry about that, everybody. That was a fail on my part. So create a post, video, and we are live right here, right now. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome, everybody. Oh, that was a piece of chapstick. Malia is on her way here right now, and I am posting this, and then we'll dig right into it. I'm really excited, really excited to talk about the court hearing. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm the type of person where I do so much better if I can chew on information for a couple days. It gives me time to look at a situation at face value, and then it gives me time to look at it in the more uncommon angles, the more uncommon approaches, right? Because I think it's obvious the auto assumption of any situation when you first look at it, just what you're receiving at face value, you know what I mean? But it takes me a couple days to be able to look at everything through and through. So okay, well, we are good to go here, and Malia's getting set up. Welcome to the True Crime Talk Show, everybody. Yes, you. I'm talking to you right there. Yep, pointing to you, talking to you. And oh, my skateboard fell over. Yeah, welcome to the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. What you know about the skateboard talk show. But welcome, everybody. You can find us on every major podcast platform, literally all of them. We're on everything. We're on ones that we didn't even go out of our way to set up on, just because of how we manage our content. So we're on everything. I just saw that we were on what was it? The one of the Spanish podcast platforms, and we were ranked in the top 10, which is incredible. I'm sure a lot of people in Spanish speaking countries speak English for a second language, so that's pretty cool, that they're watching Dot Riot podcast. But when you get a chance, hop on those podcast platforms, give us a rating, give us thumbs up, leave a comment. We appreciate that. It does so much more than you guys can know. if you hit that thumbs up button and you leave a comment under the video, which a lot of people have been doing, like a lot of people have been leaving a lot more comments. So that's incredible. And we appreciate you for that. It has helped with the content visibility, and it will continue to help with it. So even if you just leave a hi, a hello, an emote, you know, it goes a long way. It does a lot for the podcast. So just keep doing those little things, you guys, those free things that go a long way to help the show out, and we appreciate you for it. You can find us on every major social media platform. You can find us at all of them under /Thought Riot podcast, except for Twitter, which I'll post here. Twitter is /Thought Riot pod. We do have a Discord, which helps people manage the notifications without having to rely on YouTube, because YouTube has a hard time keeping up with notifications. And then we also have a Patreon as well. And I'll post that too. And just so everybody knows, we do have a free tier on Patreon, and that gives you the alerts every time, no matter what. We always get the alerts on there when we have a show coming up. But are you ready to go? Gosh, taking forever to get ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
Is she ready? All right, now we can start. Whoa. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And just so everyone knows, when I'm talking about comments on a video, I'm not talking about the chat that we have going right now. That chat does not help visibility for the show. The comments that help visibility for the show is the comment section under a video. Now, on a live stream, I don't believe you're going to get the comment section under the video until the live stream is over. But the video that we just watched, you can put a comment under there. So give a breakdown of what we just watched. So you really went granular into what Ann Taylor was talking about in the recent hearing, right? So we covered a lot of the gossipy shock and wow and ooh and ah topics the first time that we covered it, immediately following the hearing. But you were able to get into like the specifics of what Ann Taylor was talking about when it came to what the innocence and guilt phase is. Innocence guilt phase, aka what Ann calls it is the innocence phase, right? You were able to dig into some of those expectations of the defense so we can understand, because it's so easy for people out there, us included. Like, I should just be pointing at myself, right? Every finger you point at somebody, you're pointing 4 back at yourself. But it's so easy to look at any situation at face value and judge and grade that situation and say, oh my gosh, look at them. I can't believe they're not getting the discovery. I can't believe they don't have this. I can't believe they don't have that, you know, and I'm totally guilty of it, of being quick to judge somebody like that. But then for you to actually dig in and find out what all the required information is that the defense needed, it was pretty eye-opening for me. Like, while you were talking, I was sitting there thinking the whole time, like, gosh, that is a lot, you know. Anne didn't even do a really good job explaining how much of a job she has based on what you were reading.
Yeah, well, one thing that I'll say is that those standards, I think, it is a lot. But however, I think that defense attorneys have some room to wiggle a little. Like, basically, I think you could drag it out if you really wanted to, and make it. The thing is,
but is this a good example of being able to drag it out, because she doesn't even have all the discovery,
right? And the thing is that this is a case with a crap ton of evidence, like a crap ton.
Well, a crap ton of pictures.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's the volume of the discovery.
I mean,
So,
I argue that, but got it.
There is no argument there.
I mean, I beg.
I'm not saying evidence against Bryan Kohberger.
No,
I'm saying discovery, period.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they have on Bryan Kohberger. None of us
I'm talking
do.
about physical evidence, all right? The evidence that normally is used to convict. It is very rare that crime scene pictures are used to convict. Let's just be real here, okay? The bulk of their evidence is crime scene pictures. Try and find how many convictions a state has gotten from crime scene photos. Not very many, let me tell you. You know,
yeah.
But their physical evidence is so minimal. I feel like it's a Texas swap anytime I hear that. If you're Texan, I don't mean that in a bad way. That's just what it's called, right? Hey, look over here while I do this. Like, oh, this is such a massive case. There's 20,000 photos, you know. Okay, well, what are those photos going to give us for evidence? You know what I mean? What are those photos really going to give us for evidence?
Right.
But that's what my argument was.
Yeah. But it's good to see all of you too. I saw some of you saying hi in the chat. But I mean, even after reading all of it, I still am asking myself the question, like, what is taking so long? Like, now it helped me understand the witness part, because when everybody heard 400 potential witnesses, I've heard so many people say, like, what? Like, what do you mean 400 witnesses? That's ridiculous. Like, you don't need to interview 400 witnesses. And I don't think that's her plan. I don't think it's her plan to interview 400 witnesses. She's saying that is how many there are. Like, there could possibly be, because we're talking, whoa, that's never happened before. People connected to Bryan Kohberger in the past, family, anybody connected to the crime or the victims. Like, it creates a really big pool of witnesses. It doesn't necessarily mean witnesses to the crime.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Like, they're going 3 generations back in Bryan Kohberger's family.
Yeah. Yep. It's a lot of different people. It's a lot of different people that there could be talking to them. A lot of locals, a lot of family members, like this aunt that we heard speak up from the Vegas area. I mean, it could really be a lot of people. You know, I got to be honest here. When I first heard 400, I wasn't shocked. I don't think I keep trying to remember when I very first heard that, but I don't think I ever felt shocked by that 400. And the reason being is because of the previous hearing when we heard that Ann Taylor has to go back 3 generations. I expected there to be that many people because I started thinking, okay, 3 generations of people. Like, does everyone understand how many people that is?
Right.
You take, you know, a mom and a dad, a guy and a woman, and then however many kids they have. There's a second generation. Then however many kids they have, there's another generation right there. And I mean, that tree grows really quickly, exponentially every single generation, you know? So yeah, I mean, I am not shocked by the 400.
Yeah, and you know, it could also be like, I mean, think about it. It was a party house too. Like, think about how many people could be connected somehow to this crime by just hanging out at that house.
Maybe.
But it is interesting to know that, you know, a lot of people don't want to talk to the defense. It really makes you question why. But I think
Me too.
one of the main issues with what has made it take this long, I mean, I feel like everybody keeps saying, why are you delaying this so much? But if you really listen to what Ann Taylor said, I can't imagine dealing with what she's dealing with right now. Like, it sounds so stressful. It sounds so disorganized. And she's having to make all those pieces fit and organize the discovery. And the more she looks into it, the more she realizes missing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure dealing with that, she's like, I don't know, like, this is going to take a really long time to get through this much information if every time I pull up a file, there's another file and there's nothing in it.
Yeah, that's been my big question too. And not to mention, that's how many things that they figured out weren't there. How many things could there be that nobody knows is supposed to be there? You know what I mean? And I think a really, really good example of that is those x-rays. And you know, I don't like highlighting the Steve texts very often because I don't have any confirmation if they're real or not. But if they are real, okay, it sounds like Steve Gonsalves has been given information, making it sound like a lot of the information that's coming out is caused by the defense and or Ann Taylor. Not to mention his multiple comments that he says in those text messages where he says, you know, how could a woman defend somebody like that? You know what I mean? So very biased view of the defense, and I get it. If anyone's allowed to feel that way, you guys, I'm not putting him down. To be very clear here, I am not putting him down. If anyone's allowed to feel bias, it is a man who lost his child in this manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't mean anything bad, but what's interesting is that what we see Steve saying the defense is doing, in my opinion, is what it feels like the prosecution and state is actually doing. And this evidence about the x-rays and the delayed discovery, in my opinion, is really good evidence for that. Really good evidence for that. And it's really concerning because the reason why it feels concerning to me is because it continues down this line of character assassination. Okay. So just understand this. Okay. Court is a game of chess. Absolutely. It's not only a game of chess, but it's a game of chess with the entire world watching you playing chess. And the entire world is allowed to talk into into each opponent's ear. Okay. So you have to be aware of the move that you're making, and you have to be aware of the visibility of the move that you're making because of the people surrounding that's watching. Right. So when you're looking at this case, the prosecution and the state and the defense, I'm not playing bias here. I think Ann Taylor's been very intentional in the words that she's chosen. But again, do you bring a knife to a gunfight? You know what I mean? I don't know who started it, but both sides are playing it. Okay. But with the character assassination, we see the prosecution coming out and laying this foundation of who Bryan Kohberger is when it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And I'm not condemning them. It's part of court. We've seen it a million times. But we see this idea continue now into the defense's character, where you have the prosecution who's saying things like, hey, we're ready to go, Judge. We've been ready. This is the strongest case we've ever had. You know what I mean? And then come to find out, if what they're telling the judge is true, which I would sure hope it is true, the state doesn't even have all the evidence. How can you be ready to go? Ignore the defense. How can the prosecution be ready to go without very key aspects of discovery? How?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You can't be.
You can't be.
It's not possible.
Exactly. Take the defense out of the equation. It's just like,
I wish that you know, I'm waiting just for an expert, like some kind of lawyer or, you know, a long-term homicide investigator, somebody to come out and talk about whether or not it's normal for this, like, and I already know it's not. I mean, I just know it's not.
Cast?
The whole cast thing, not having expert reports way after the speedy trial date, when they all thought they were I mean, I don't know. Maybe they never thought they were going to go to speedy trial.
What would they have done if they went to speedy trial? Can you even imagine that? What would they have done?
I can't
if they
imagine
needed to
that.
go to speedy trial.
Yeah.
What would the state have done?
The fact that they didn't have their cast data?
They didn't have their cast data. They didn't have their x-rays. They didn't, like, these are very important key pieces of evidence that are going to be able to like, do you guys understand how important those x-rays are? Those x-rays are going to be able to be verified and used and checked by experts and be able to with pictures of the crime scene know, you know, the angle that the weapon was coming down at and making contact with bones and things of that nature. Those x-rays can literally tell you the height of the suspect if used correctly by the correct experts. Those are very important pieces of evidence.
Yeah,
for both sides.
So I wanted to say real quick that Character Analysis gave us a shout out in her most recent video, and I just wanted to say thank you to her. And I thought it was a interesting video. Like, it was an angle I hadn't thought of before.
That's good. That's good.
I have to think. I honestly have to think about what she said, 'cause I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. But she was kind of talking about Ethan maybe not being visible when you first walked in the room and like some other things. But I suggest you guys go watch it. You know, show her some love.
Character Analysis has a very different opinion of this case than us. However,
there's some similarities sometimes, though, with, you know, like, she believes the 4chan posts are real. She just thinks that Bryan Kohberger wrote them.
I don't think anyone can believe they're not connected to this case. I listen, I gave people an open invitation. Please help me understand how the 4chan posts. If you think Bryan Kohberger is guilty, okay. And I'm not saying I don't think he's guilty. I just don't know. But if you think he's guilty, please help me understand how these 4chan posts are not connected to this crime in some sort of fashion. The only option is it's either police, and I highly doubt that.
I highly doubt it too.
I highly doubt that. So police and frats are not like hand in hand ever. They don't include police. They actually have rules where they say don't call police. So how they would have this information to be able to post that, I just don't. I don't doubt that. I mean, there's no way. I think that it was somebody that was involved in the crime as a suspect, and they were getting their attention and ego, or I think it is somebody that is outside of the crime and feels like they needed to say something out to get the true perpetrators caught up. I think those are the only three options there.
Yeah, it's either Kohberger or somebody.
Kohberger, yeah.
It's either Kohberger or it's the guys. It's involved. The guys that did it, or it's a third party that wanted to either implicate those people because they hate them, or because they actually did it.
Yeah, I agree. It's just impossible for anybody unless I'm missing something. And again,
but how would that person, if they hated those two and wanted to implicate them, how would they have those details?
I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, but I do want to go back to what you were saying real quick about character analysis, because I think this helps keep our community accepting of everybody. Listen, you guys, somebody having a different opinion than you is a positive thing. It is a very positive thing. Yes. Anybody that can present their opinion in a respectful way and it is opposing your opinion, I take my hat off to them. I have a huge respect for that person. I appreciate that person. I love everything that person is doing, because these human emotions of jealousy or disagreement or disliking someone, or
feeling
because
offended,
or offense because somebody has a different opinion than you, you know, these are counterintuitive to everything that has to do with investigating a case objectively, right? We want people to scrutinize our opinions. We want people to scrutinize these theories. We want it, and we want people to have different opinions than us. So her opinion is very different in a lot of cases, and that's great. That is awesome, and we love that. So I just want to say I appreciate her for being able to have, open conversation back and forth with us, which is awesome, while still being able to present her opinion in such a respectful fashion. It's really important to be able to present opinions respectfully, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's not what her video was about. It wasn't about disagreeing with us or anything. She just gave us a shout out. But yes, she has disagreed with us in the past, and it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
Good back and forth for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, but going back into this,
there's so many creators that I like that believe Kohberger's guilty. Like lots of them.
yeah.
I like Annie Elise. I like character analysis. I like, Chris McDonough at the interview room. There's many that I like that think he's guilty. And usually those people that I watch, it's because they challenge my own opinions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
I want them to tell me something different so that I can think about it.
We also need to be very objective with this too. And honestly, I'm really surprised I've never said this before, right? And I don't mean this offensively, okay? So anybody that's watching that could be a creator, because we have a ton of creators that watch us, and believe Bryan Kohberger is guilty, do not take offense to this, because I'm not saying it's you, okay? But mainstream media criticizes police when they don't have a suspect and immediately jumps on the back of police when they do have a suspect. That is done in a very intentional fashion so that police feel open and comfortable in giving mainstream media inside information, because mainstream media is supporting them in these fashions. It's not a hidden idea. It's not a hidden theory. Almost all TV broadcasters will agree and say, yes, we absolutely do that. It is a tactic because their number one goal is not to support the police. Their number one goal is to present news and stories and making it interesting enough where you want to stay watching. So that makes that opinion no longer objective, though. Okay. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Where that objectivity goes in the trash is when these mainstream media sources are owned by companies that have buy-in, that need them to come up with information. And the best way to get that information is to agree and support the police, no matter if they're right, wrong, or indifferent. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So fortunately for us, we aren't owned by anybody but our own, supporters that support what we're doing, so we don't have a bias buy-in.
So, question, do you think that there's anything that Bryan Kohberger himself, because I mean, I guess it kind of depends on how you look at this a little bit, but I look at his guilt or innocence to be able to read his intentions and what he's doing. But we know he's a criminologist and has had interest in the criminal justice system. So is there anything he could be doing behind the scenes right now to be causing the delay more?
No, not Bryan Kohberger personally.
I was asking the audience too.
Yeah, I got you, but I'm giving you my opinion. Anything I say is obviously my opinion. I don't.
I just wanted to make it clear that I'm asking you guys too. I know that.
Nothing I say is 100% fact, and I will never, ever, ever present it as that, you guys. Everything I say is subjective opinion until it is able to be proven as fact, right? Everything that comes out of my mouth is a hypothesis, is an opinion, and it doesn't become unadulterated fact, the factiest of all the facties, until it can be supported by actual factual evidence proving it as such, because words are subjective in nature. So but no, how great of an idea is it, though, to believe Bryan Kohberger is the demon here, and he is leading this fight and causing everything to slow down so he gets more attention? Like,
well, here's one thing.
Cool story, bro, but
here's one thing, though, is Somebody just said I'm offended. Love
I always
that.
offend somebody.
So here's one thing I was kind of thinking about is like, if he is guilty, because this is something actually Chris McDonough said, and I agree that if he is guilty, he's loving the attention, most likely. Like BTK,
Yeah.
like the happy face killer.
Yeah, I
you know,
agree he
they
is.
love the attention on them and their disgusting crimes
Yeah.
against humanity. Well, I'm just wondering, with his knowledge and his background, if there's any way, because I think he's very involved in his defense, regardless of whether he's innocent or guilty. Is there anything he could be doing? Because, like, these lawyers are there to represent him.
Yeah, but look.
Like, so is there anything he could be doing to cause more delay? And
Look,
I don't know. I don't think so,
no.
but
No, he can't. And look, like let's just look at it objectively. So what are we talking about here when we say this, right? Because it sounds like a cool story, but what are we trying to say? We're trying to say that Bryan Kohberger is giving information to Ann Taylor, who is then feeding the information to the court, who is then stalling the case and the court from moving forward. Okay, I understand how that could work. I understand that argument, but now come up with a situation and or scene where Bryan Kohberger has been able to control that in that manner. Number one, the only thing that I can come up with is the delayed alibi. However, he did not do anything outside of the written law. Okay. He was given a date, and that date was extended by what, 7 days or 10 days or something like that to give his alibi. And as Bryan Kohberger, you got to remember, right, when we're looking at this objectively, I think it's pretty clear that the defense is coming in with a defense strategy of casting doubt on the investigators of this scene. Now, I am not pleading for Bryan Kohberger's innocence, but Bryan Kohberger is going to court to defend himself and prove that he's innocent. Okay, so if Bryan Kohberger's innocent in this theory, then how did his DNA get there? Then how did all that evidence come to fruition to make it look like he is the guilty guy, right? And so I'm standing in Bryan Kohberger's shoes here. One of the things I would be considering and worried about is that I'm being set up, which is the same thing many people have questions about here, right? So as looking at this defense strategy from Bryan Kohberger, I have no idea if he's being set up. I have no clue. We don't have enough information at all to say if he's being set up or not, you guys. But if I'm Bryan Kohberger and I'm going about this from a strategy of being set up, then I know that nobody's just going to trust my word. I can no longer come out after the character assassination and say, hey, I'm Bryan Kohberger and I need to plead my innocence because it's so important you all hear me that I didn't do this crime. Number one, that does absolutely nothing for getting him off in court. Okay, so if he has experience in criminology, then he knows what's the point in doing that, because everybody that's watching it wants to feel like he is trying to, proclaim his innocence. That doesn't do anything for him. And number two, he knows that anything that he says without having actual factual evidence is going to be taken as a lie anyway. So why say anything without having the evidence to back it? Why? What's the point in talking if everything that comes out of your mouth is going to be taken as a lie? Would you say anything?
Pleading innocent, I mean, I guess it would play into the fact that Bryan Kohberger isn't very socially aware, because pleading no contest, like, not saying whether you're guilty or innocent, isn't, I don't think it's smart tactically if you want to be exonerated. You know what I mean? I don't think it's smart. It doesn't give him any legal benefit. There is no legal benefit.
I mean, there is legal benefit. It's having the evidence to back what you're saying. Now, I say that understanding very clear. So you realize what they're waiting on, right? They're waiting on the cast to give his alibi. Yes. Now, the prosecution saw this coming, and they very clearly said, hey, we don't want to give them that because people can make up an alibi, which they're right. They absolutely can make up an alibi. However, okay, a lot of people are missing this. Innocent until proven guilty. So why is the prosecution trying to play like he's guilty and have the automatic assumption that all he's doing is trying to come up with a lie? That is not how our judicial system is built. Our judicial system is built is to assume innocence and give somebody the best potential outcome, and they have to prove his guilt, okay?
Yep.
So I don't see anything wrong with the tactic of waiting to have evidence to back your statement.
Yeah,
I
Sarah
don't, but
Boone,
I see the concern.
the thing is Sarah Boone is a good example of a client who's delaying everything. Like, she has so that case is really annoying. She's a good example of that. However, I don't see Bryan Kohberger doing any of what she's doing.
Well,
like, what she's been doing has been very public. That's how we're all able to see it and be like, what the heck? Like, what is this lady doing?
we're not in a position right now.
We haven't even heard Bryan Kohberger talk word other than to the judge, like a single answer.
Yeah, we're not in a position right now for Bryan Kohberger to even impact the speed of this trial. Listen, I don't think people understand this, you guys. They don't have the evidence. Either side. Like, do we understand the implications of that? They don't have all the discovery. Either side does not have all the evidence. We are like a year and a half in, you guys, and they don't have all the evidence to convict Bryan Kohberger, the state or the defense.
Here's what I think is what I personally think is going on. I think that Bill Thompson has not a lot of experience in this type of case. I don't think anyone in Moscow has that much experience in this type of case, and everything is a mess. And while Anne was going through discovery, she showed Bill Thompson a lot of holes in his evidence that he did not see until she was digging into it. And I think that's why both of their tunes have changed. She's like, I feel bad for him. His case is a mess. And he's like, I'm screwed. This isn't good. So they're staying on each other's good side. I think that the prosecution is going to work really hard to tighten up their discovery in their case up until trial. And I think Ann Taylor's going to be doing the same thing. She's going to be working on her defense of her client. But that's what I think's going on. I think that's what the delay is. I think Bill Thompson is literally going to have to do like an overhaul and get his stuff together. Because I don't think I think he was confident until now. Recently.
I don't think it's until now. I think the last 2 to 3 hearings, Bill Thompson has changed his tune. I truly 100% believe it. And listen, I don't know if you guys remember or if you remember, but I've been saying this from the beginning, not as an aha, look at me. I'm not saying it like that. But I mean, I've been concerned about this is what I should have said. I've been concerned about this for Bill Thompson from the beginning. Okay. So we watched a video a while ago, months ago, where state prosecutors were speaking up about how uncomfortable it is when you're a prosecutor handed a case by police and you realize something's wrong. It puts them in a very uncomfortable position because in order for a prosecutor to take a step back, your only option is to either move forward and try to make the best of this really crappy situation or flip on your own buddies, your own peers, your own employees of the state to try and fix something, which you're going to have enemies forever after that. Okay. It's to me, it sounds like a really uncomfortable situation. And I've wondered that from the beginning.
Yeah.
I have wondered it from the very beginning. How do we know that Bill Thompson was not just handed a giant pile of doo-doo and he's now like, oh, no.
Yep.
This looks bad now, right?
Exactly.
I don't think we know that. And I do believe in our court system having the intention to be good faith. Is it always good faith? Absolutely not. We see that all the time, that it's not always good faith. But I personally would like to approach every situation as good faith, because I would rather come at a situation good faith and be wrong than come at it bad faith and be wrong. You know what I mean? So looking at this situation, I'm going to assume that Bill Thompson isn't involved in this, because that also supports our theory that we've talked about a million times, that in order for an investigation to look like a conspiracy, it only takes a couple officers, you guys. It takes a couple officers placing very specific pieces of evidence in very specific ways. And all of a sudden, when we're in court, the whole thing looks like a conspiracy. And this is my one question I have for you. And people that think he's guilty, okay, I'm not saying this is what's going on. I'm just saying, consider it. What would we do if there was no DNA evidence? Just take a step back for a second, okay? Pull the DNA evidence out. And now think of the case from what we know in the PCA. Look at the case objectively without that DNA evidence.
Well, I think that Bill Thompson was very confident in the case in the beginning. And I think that we've seen it slowly decline, his confidence.
I was confident in it too.
Yeah, when I first read the PCA and everything, I think most people were. Actually, I've actually heard several creators say that recently, that they were super confident in this case in the beginning. Wait, did we ever shout Marietta out for giving out a membership?
Oh no, I don't think we did. And it's totally my fault.
Go to Starred.
Huge shout out to Marietta, always coming through and giving out these memberships. I'm super sorry. I get ahead of myself and I get excited talking. So I'm sorry, but we appreciate you. You are always helping people out in the Thought Riot podcast, and that is incredible. That is literally everything that we're about. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Marietta.
And then we have Jennifer here with a super chat. Is it possible to Reason and Taylor once cast and drivers? Is it possible the Reason and Taylor once cast and the driver's report for the alibi is possibly proved Bryan Kohberger was driving and never stopped his vehicle? I absolutely think that's a possibility. Just like, to be objectively fair here, I think it's a reasonable possibility that the state could be concerned that he's trying to build an alibi around the evidence too.
Yeah.
But court is supposed to be good faith, okay? And if Bill Thompson is expecting Ann Taylor to be good faith and trust and believe in what he's doing for the benefit of the state, then the prosecution has to offer it back to the defense. So I think it's a real concern. And I do think the prosecution should have brought it up like they did and said, hey, pay attention to this because we've seen this happen before. But I think they're in a bind where they have to approach it good faith. I got to run to the restroom real quick. And you got it?
Yep. I'm just checking the weather app. There's a bunch of bad storms running through the Chicago area. Oh, there comes a round of more of them. Gosh, that weather system is ginormous. I didn't realize how big that was. I don't know if you guys are in the same area as us, like Iowa, Northern Illinois, Wisconsin, like the Midwest, like that specific area, there is a channel, and like you want live updates on what's going on, like boots on the ground coverage and a guy with a radar. Max Velocity is an incredible YouTube channel that like gives weather reports, predictions, like the forecast, and every time there is like a really strong severe thunderstorm coming through the area, he is live and he has like storm chasers out, multiple of them out driving, catching them on camera. And he's incredibly knowledgeable and is on the radar telling you what's going on. Like the second there's rotation, he's telling you. I am a little scared of storms, you guys. I gotta admit, especially tornadoes. I was in 3 twisters as a kid, and many more actually, and they really freak me out. So I just wanted to give you guys that recommendation, Max Velocity, because the weather's been nuts. Like the weather has been insane. And after last year, when we had a really bad storm, I found that channel, Max Velocity, and I was very happy to find it. So I wanted to recommend it to you guys. Yeah, and it was 3 of them dropping down on the neighborhood I was in. See, I don't know what I think about this whole alibi thing. Do I think it's very possible that Kohberger is fabricating an alibi, trying to make things fit, to make this like, because say it truly is his car in the neighborhood, okay, that's caught on camera, and he knows that, and he is trying to make certain details, like you said, Jennifer, like trying to maybe prove that his car never stopped or something like that. I could see him trying to do something like that, like somebody who's guilty to try to, you know, form an alibi. But at the same time, I'm also thinking like, if I was accused of this crime and I was legitimately just out driving around that night and I had nobody with me and I never stopped my car and my phone died or something like that, how else could you prove it, you guys? Like, how else could you prove it other than take apart each piece of evidence? I think it is a possibility. I think it is a possibility your DNA could be at a crime scene and you not be the person. Like it's happened actually many times before. Cross contamination, all kinds of things, and we're not talking blood. If this was any kind of vital fluid, okay, any kind of bodily fluid or anything like that at the scene, I would have no doubt in my mind Bryan Kohberger was guilty. The fact that it's skin cells, the fact that it's such a tiny amount, the fact that the sheath, it seems so weird. Like the whole situation is just too weird that it gives me enough reasonable doubt that I just can't. While it seems really suspicious and it seems like I understand why people immediately think he's guilty. Like, of course he's guilty. I did too. Like his DNA's on the knife sheath. They say they have video of him driving around. He was stalking them. I understand that. I totally get it. It's just digging into the DNA. It gave me enough reasonable doubt. I cannot condemn him yet.
Yeah,
I just
for
can't.
for me, it was the phone evidence, which so the cell phone evidence. All right, I immediately knew there was a lie, a straight up lie in the PCA. Okay, I don't want to go down this road where I'm preaching our rights again, but essentially, without getting too far into it, it's not uncommon for cops to stretch the truth. Okay, so it depends on how much stretching is then considered a lie. All right, so when I was reading the PCA, I realized, whoa, this isn't possible. This is not possible at all. So what's going on here, right? Then I thought, okay, wait. So the cell phone evidence led me to the DNA evidence because, and I'll take you through my line of thinking. The cell phone evidence proves he was at the crime. Okay, it proves it without a doubt if they have reliable evidence backing that, like reliable triangulation. So once I realized that was not true, then I thought, okay, wait, what else can prove he's there? Duh, the DNA, right? The DNA is the next best thing that proves that he's there. So then we start looking into the DNA, and I'm like, whoa, we're talking touch DNA, like skin cells, okay? That same touch DNA, that same skin cell DNA is considered a pseudoscience, which you guys can look up if you Google U.S. military with touch DNA or trace DNA. It says in there from one of their scientists that we believe it is still considered a pseudoscience. There isn't enough data on it, and the U.S. military does not see any evidentiary worth in trace DNA, okay, in live cases. So they do not allow it. It is not allowed in the U.S. military. They are not allowed to use trace DNA or touch DNA as evidence in the U.S. military. So then I thought, oh, we have big problems here. Like this PCA, the two biggest pieces of evidence, in my opinion, the two biggest pieces of evidence is the DNA and the cell phone. If you don't have that, then what do you have? What do you have?
Right.
And therein lies the problem.
Exactly. Did you mean to say hey to Art of Deduction?
Oh yeah, hey, Art of Deduction. Art of Deduction is another true crime creator, which is awesome, and we're in Discord together and stuff. So make sure you guys check him out. He has some very good information into the Delphi case. He's been following that, like, you know, he's been on it.
Yeah, he covers like a lot of cases, including the Idaho 4 case.
Yep.
But why do you think Ann Taylor is still so stuck on the alibi? Like, why not just let it go? Do you think that's an indication that something's there, or do you think that's a huge mistake?
No, for me, that's why I gave such a mansplain when we first started talking about the alibi, okay? This is very hard in this case, and it's very hard for everyone. And again, I'm going to point to myself, not anybody else out there. But this case is so subjective, you guys. There is so much drama in it. There is so much gossip in it. Mainstream media is using this case like it's a, what are those shows? The high drama shows. What's that called?
Reality TV
not
show?
reality TV. The
soap opera.
A soap opera. Mainstream media is using this case like a soap opera, in my opinion. Okay, so it is so subjective. It is so dramatic that a lot of times we lose the objectivity in this case. So when you look at this, I think it's objectively reasonable to want to offer his alibi with evidence. What makes an alibi not arguable? Is it the statement or is it the evidence?
Well, it's kind of funny to me that an alibi is only credible if you have like a witness.
What? Witnesses aren't credible.
That's
in
the
my
tip.
opinion.
That's what typically an alibi involves, is you need a witness. But like, at the same time, you hear every lawyer ever say witnesses aren't reliable.
Eyewitnesses are the worst,
and police
man.
officers. Police always say witnesses are the worst.
And I'm again pointing at myself. It's human nature that when you're in a very traumatic situation, your memory is not reliable because of how the human brain works. So it tries to smooth over, like pretend your trauma is a very spiked edge, right? So the higher the trauma in a situation, the higher it goes up. So you have trauma, and then the decrease. So you have this big giant spike. So every time your memory looks back on that area in your timeline where you have a big spike of trauma, it tries to smooth that over. And it will smooth it over and smooth it over and smooth it, unless you have PTSD. If you have PTSD or you don't have the coping skills to manage that trauma, then it actually makes that spike bigger every time. But one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't ever stay the same. Your memory either makes your trauma memory experience worse, or it smooths it over and makes it easier on your memory. But either way, it is very unreliable. Humans are just unreliable. We're subjective in nature. For most people, subjectivity comes as first nature. Objectivity is learned or taught or forced.
I'm just still thinking about the alibi, though, because
what he's doing is exactly what I would do. I got to be honest. It's exactly what I would do. I don't want people to trust me, because this shouldn't be a case about trust, right? Throw trust out the window. Ball it up like a piece of paper and throw it out the window. Trust means nothing. What can you prove?
I mean, nobody would trust him, and I'm sure he knows that.
Exactly.
I just think it's funny that a witness is considered like the ultimate alibi.
It is kind of funny.
It's kind of weird, right?
It is strange.
Because you think about all the people who could have just had a buddy say, yeah, we were sleeping together all night. Like, we were in the same room.
Yeah, bro. We were playing video games.
Yep.
I was watching YouTube.
Yep. I just want to know, did the police verify that? And when they verified it, did they look to make sure the person just didn't have a video running in the background the whole time and was actually there clicking on it?
There's no way to know unless they gave you access to your phone. So for those of you that don't know, I don't know if the police know this. I would sure hope they do. I'm sure the FBI knows this, but in your phone are little, I think they're called spectrometers. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but it's the thing that you can turn on that will track your steps, that will track how many, how far you're running and how far your step distance is and things like that. Each phone has like 3 or 5. I think some of the new ones have 7 even. A high.
I thought it was the accelerometer.
Oh, wait, maybe it is an accelerometer. I might be using the wrong word here, okay?
You are. It's the accelerometer.
Okay, so the accelerometer. So they have a bunch of accelerometers in the phones to manage these things. So if you know what you're looking for and know how to get into the background coding of certain applications, because certain apps will track this, some of them won't, you should be able to tell if that phone is in a hand or not. You should be able to tell.
At least Apple phones, and I'm pretty sure Android phones too, they also track your clicks. Like, they could just get a warrant for YouTube and they wouldn't even need access to his phone, actually, and track his clicks.
Yeah, but the clicks don't do anything if you just have it on play. If you're watching an hour-long video, you're not going to be clicking. Is that legit? Strange Suspicion?
Good
Another
point. I guess that's
creator?
a good point, I guess.
I don't know if that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a picture?
No, there's no, I don't see a picture.
Okay.
You can see the pictures on there. There's no picture.
Oh.
Strange Suspicion does have a picture on her
Yeah.
profile. So.
Okay, I was just gonna highlight if it was. But yeah, I personally think that this was a fail for the prosecution and the defense. I don't see any benefit. Look, I swear, every time there's a hearing, like there's a bunch of creators that are like, man, that looks so bad for Bryan Kohberger. And then there's a whole bunch of creators that come out and be like, man, that looks so bad for the prosecution. I don't think this helped anybody, you guys. I don't think it did anything. I don't think any of the last three helped either side. Because we aren't anywhere, you guys. We aren't anywhere. We haven't made any progress. Let's be real here.
That hearing was so stressful, and yeah, it wasn't good on anyone's side. It wasn't good for anybody, for sure.
I see a few people talking on here about mods. So just real quick, we don't always give this statement, but we do not have mods, you guys. We follow the respect
no bullying.
Yeah, we just expect everyone to respect everybody in here and be able to say and talk about whatever they want, as long as it's said and talked about respectfully. We can't target anyone. The rule of thumb is if you're saying something mean to somebody else, they can't control whether they can get rid of you or not. So we just remove people that are targeting or being mean to other viewers. We are firm believers that anything can be talked about, literally anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be talked about as long as it's talked about respectfully. I don't think that's the legit Strange Suspicion, you guys. I could be wrong. I'll look real quick.
If it's actually you, let us know. I'll click on the channel real quick.
Yeah, just look at the app. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Unless they have a alt account that they still call Strange Suspicion.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so we don't have mods, okay? And if we do get mods one day, we've talked about this quite a bit, that you know, we handle this show in the same way that mainstream media does. We manage this like a business. The only way someone could be a mod one day is if we can do interviews where we can see the person, you know, over live stream and ask some questions, make sure our opinions align and that the goals are all the same. And our mods will be getting paid when that time comes. They will be getting paid. Yeah.
Yeah, we want our mods to be a part of the Thought Riot team, and we want them to align with, because since the beginning, we have had people come to our channel and say, you know, oh my gosh, please never get mods. Mods like get power hungry. They, you know, make their own decisions and start blocking you for just saying something disagreeing with the creator. Like, we've heard so many complaints about mods. And we just want to make sure that who we pick really aligns with what we want for the channel. And that's what we want, everybody to be able to say whatever they want, as long as they're being respectful and not bullying somebody. You know?
And with our financial supporters and everything, you know, like I said, we're managing this like a business. I don't know if I've ever shared with you guys, but I personally have built multiple businesses and sold multiple businesses. Malia has managed and built a business. So we're just going to manage this in that fashion. And the best way to do that is to have percentage buy-in. So if we get mods one day, they will get a percentage of the show. which will make them want to promote the show, right? Because the more you promote it, the higher the payout's going to be based on that percentage. So once that day comes, we'll let everyone know. We'll be completely transparent. We do everything very transparent here because it is the people's podcast. It is your guys' podcast. We talk about what you guys want to hear. So
oh, hi Jesse from Thailand, good to have you. And I know
that hickey,
I know
nope. Still there,
you know, Heather, I know there's a few people who really want to be mods, and
yeah.
you know, when we decide to do that, we'll
will
definitely hit you up.
Yes, we will.
There's a few people who have asked and would be happy to
Absolutely.
do it. And I mean, so far, I'm pretty comfortable with all of you, but we got to go through the steps first, you know?
Yeah. Yep. So to own a business, you got to be objective, you guys. So like before you have anyone in mind, you have to make the rules before that time. Okay. Because human nature is we're very subjective, and there are people on here that I really like communicating with and talking to. And by taking into account people that you like, that is actually bad for business. So I hope you guys understand where we're coming from, because the ultimate goal is what's the best for the podcast that you guys own, that we manage and will continue. So that was just our goal behind that. But
everyone in the chat was just saying mods ruin channels, like so many people.
Well, I just saw people saying mods, so I just wanted to be.
Yeah, but when we started talking about it, people just started talking about it, and I didn't see a single positive comment about mods are great.
The only downside is once we get really big, you guys, it'll be harder for us to continue to read the chat. I try and stay reading to make sure that there's no bullying going on, and we do have people that will reach out to us on Discord and say, hey, you need to check this person's chat out, you know, and we really appreciate that.
And okay, Jennifer got it. She said her and Heather are a package deal.
All right. So yeah, going back to the hearing, there is so much work. Did you guys hear, like, okay, let me see if I can find it. I want to listen to it. The part where Bill Thompson gives the schedule. Did you listen to that scheduling suggestion close?
Probably not. Now, here's one thing I saw several of you bringing up in the chat is that Ann Taylor admitted to Bryan Kohberger's car being on camera. I don't remember that part, but I mean, she admits that he was driving around. So, like, we don't know which camera. I'm super curious what that video is of, though. I thought it was really weird how she responded to the question about the video. She said, no, it's not a video of Bryan Kohberger's car. That's not what I'm talking about. And then she started talking about cast. And I was like, whoa, she totally just took a sharp left turn away from that one. So
Okay.
I'm not sure which part you guys are talking about, but that's the only part I remember about.
Gosh, where's the deadline?
Which part?
The deadline. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Why are you sitting silent while I was trying to find this? You're supposed to be talking.
I was thinking.
Sorry, you guys. Sorry.
I was talking. It was just in my own head. Sorry.
Yeah. What I was looking for is the deadlines comments from Bill Thompson. I wanted to talk about that because that gives us the layout for the case coming up. So hang on one second, you guys.
Sage said it's at the beginning. Why isn't there an Amber Alert on that girl, Heather? Kaylee Kinder. It says she's 14. But I can't find a single news article or an Amber Alert, which is kinda weird. I don't
Okay, great. Here we go.
I really don't understand why they're not getting it out in the media.
All right, so this is really important, you guys. This is the layout for what we can expect. Oh, did I not shout out 13th Hour? I'm super sorry. 13th Hour became a YouTube member. That's awesome. We appreciate you and welcome to the Thought Riot podcast. We're super happy to have you.
Yes.
This is what we can expect, you guys, for a timeline. All right. There was no big argument here. Now, this is rough. Understand that when they give the suggestion for the timeline, it is soft, very soft. All right. Very soft.
I'll tell you before you say anything about that.
Yes,
I was looking at.
Okay, this part's weird, you guys. That a lot of people have called this part out.
Whether or not it was realistic and fair, okay, trying to be compromising to some degree. I think it was
I wish I could see Bill's
March
face.
3rd, 2025.
Well, Your Honor, it just happens to be in pink highlight on my ad here, March 3rd, 2025 for trial.
Okay, I had no idea. I wasn't reading your mind or anything, but I thought that's about the mid, and I remember, Ms. Taylor, that you said that would be the soonest you could be ready.
And that was if everything went right from that point.
And I remember that
And
too.
it has.
Yeah.
It has. But
Full screen.
I'll hear
Okay,
what
hang
their
on.
proposals are.
Okay,
What? We can't get it
go ahead,
bigger.
Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, it
Thank
won't
you,
go
Judge.
bigger.
So we would propose that the court set
Oh,
March
there you go.
3rd of 2025 as the start of trial. We would propose a September 6th, 2024 preliminary discovery deadline that we
September 6th, preliminary discovery deadline.
include exhibits known at that time. November 8th, 2024 for the defendant's discovery deadline. That would give them a chance to respond.
For the defendant's discovery deadline, which actually is pushed much later to January or suggested to be pushed to January. So September, October, November. So basically the prosecution is trying to suggest that the defense gets 2 months to look over all the discovery and give, theirs usable.
To any last minute discovery that comes out from the state. February 7th of 2025 for the state to disclose any basically reply or rebuttal to what we've learned from the defense discovery. That would include.
Do you understand that? That's such. So the state has the discovery first, okay, and then the state gives it over to the defense. All right, the state has had well over a year to do that. By the end of this, it's going to be well over a year and a half to do that, okay, and they are saying that they're going to get the discovery to the defense by September 6th and expect them in 2 months to then share the discovery that the defense is going to be using by November. And then they are going to get November, December, January. So they're going to get 3 months to then respond to the defense's discovery. That's
rebuttal experts. The defense's deadline would also necessarily have to include their mitigation evidence. We would suggest the court consider a final pretrial conference, kind of the pretrial wrap-up details conference for the week of February 12th to 16th, 2025. Since the death penalty related motions are already known and they aren't dependent on discovery, we would ask that any death penalty related motions defense have be filed by September 6th of this year. Did the state have until...
Did you guys catch that? So anything death penalty related, he's asking that the defense file by September 6th. Do you guys remember what the discovery sharing deadline was? September 6th. Yeah.
October 11th to respond. The defense can then reply by October 25th and schedule a hearing during the week of November 4th through the 8th of this year. So we can get that wad of 12, 18, however many of those motions are going to be filed, we can get that handled. We would suggest that the court direct the jury questionnaires, if we can't agree on one, that the suggestions from the state and the defense be to the court by November 1st of this year. That would give the court the opportunity to finalize a jury questionnaire that the court is comfortable with, and it can be ready at the start of the next calendar year, which is when the next jury pool would be polled or would be drawn. And the court can, at that point, get questionnaires out to an initial panel and can assess in a timely fashion, are we really going to have venue issues in the early part of next year as we approach March 3rd. We propose the jury instructions exhibit list be exchanged by January 31st of 2025.
So what Bill is suggesting right there, you guys, it's really strange, okay? Because that is not the approach I would take. Is it a good approach for the prosecution? Maybe. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it without even explaining to you guys what I'm talking about. But so the prosecution is saying that for the new year, the new calendar year, they're going to have a new pool of jury members. All right. Now, Bill is suggesting that they do the polls on biased jury after the jury members have been selected, meaning the jury members that have been selected would be the ones doing the poll. However, the concern is not the jury members at hand. The concern is that the bias of the society of the town, of that area, of Latah County in general is biased. So why pull from a biased pool in general if, you know, it's more fair to go somewhere else? Bill's suggesting that they pick the jury and then do the biased polls. I think that's strange, in my opinion. That is not what I would do.
That's what they normally do, though.
I mean, that's not what they talked about in here. What they talked about in here is Bill was saying, well, I don't see how you could bring it up without having any kind of polls put together, any kind of information, any kind of anything. I think it's pretty fair for them to run polls at random based on the people of Latah County, in my opinion. I think any data is good data. Any data is good data. It goes back to why go through the motions of picking the jury if you guys are already going to decide that there is a biased jury. They aren't mid-trial trying to determine if there's bias within the jury. They are pre-trial trying to determine if Latah County, due to all the coverage, is bias in general.
And finally, as to pretrial motions, which would be case-specific motions, motions in limine and those sorts of things, the deadline for filing, that would be November 22nd of this year, with the understanding that parties could file them early. And the state already has been developing a list of various pretrial motions in limine that we think we'd like the court to consider, and we can file those early. But the deadline would be November 22nd, responses by December 13th, replies by December 20th, and then schedule a hearing on any of those pretrial motions sometime during the week of January 6th through the 10th. And I think
You have to write that down.
I have it all written down.
I started.
Yes, sir. And we can get it to you in writing. That's not a problem.
Okay. Ms. Taylor.
Interesting. In my opinion, that feels very, very tight. However, I again, I want to be super clear here, you guys. I'm not suggesting Bill Thompson is doing something shady. He's not. Okay. He is, from the state's perspective, Bryan Kohberger is guilty. Okay. So they are going to make decisions that put the prosecution in the best position that they can against the defense. But that doesn't necessarily mean what they're asking for is completely fair either.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I wonder how much the judge is going to take into consideration of that, of those suggestions.
I don't know. Judge just seems like such a pushover. I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I want to be fair though, that I think Judge is fine. Okay. I don't think there's such thing as a person that doesn't have bias. I don't think there's such thing as a person, except for a sociopath or a psychopath, that doesn't have empathy. I think Judge has a lot of empathy, and I think that Judge has been relatively empathetic even to the defense and the prosecution in this situation. I think that based on what the defense and the prosecution has put forward, I think the judge has been okay in this situation. You know, one area that I feel like Ann Taylor could have done better on in general is, if she's having all these problems with the discovery, I think she should have made a 5-minute or more longer statement every single time she's entered the court for the last 3 or 4 times. She should have been complaining already.
Yeah.
I would have been like, you know, with all due respect, Judge, how dare you talk about trial in 2024 when you're not even putting the heat down on the prosecution and these other agencies to get us the discovery, when your goal has been to have a fair trial that isn't going to be retried over and over and over for the next 20 years. But I don't even have the tools, the basic necessities of what I need to do this trial, to take part in this trial. You know what I mean? I think that's one area that Ann Taylor could have been better on. However, I also want to be clear, there could be an angle to that.
Yeah.
She could be doing it intentional.
Yeah, she could be.
You know, sometimes, you guys, sometimes it is beneficial when you see somebody walking into a problem, right, to let them learn on their own. Let them get hurt, you know, let them run into that closed door, that glass door that's closed, you know, and that'll be lesson learned. So is it a situation where she's allowed the prosecution to let themselves make them look bad? Let them make themselves look bad.
I think that's a possibility.
I think it's a real possibility too. And I think it's really important to take these considerations and understand that any of them could be possible. You know, a lot of us, myself included, is quick to judge in these situations and judge the prosecution, judge the defense, judge John Judge. But overall, things have been moving along, right? If what we're hearing in court is true, it's none of these people's to blame, right?
Yeah.
What
True.
took so long with the IGG? It could be the FBI. We don't know for sure. What's taking so long with the other discovery? It could be the FBI and ISP. We aren't sure. But it could be.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it is.
If we're taking what the prosecution is saying at good faith, it feels like that.
Yeah.
So
do you want to go to that? It's an hour and 8 minutes in where they talk about the car real quick, the video of the car.
We can. Since we've been talking about the car.
I just wanted to re-listen to that part.
1:08 on the dot.
I mean, start there. I don't.
Okay. All right, so this is, give a rundown what we're about to watch.
We're about to watch where Ann Taylor talks about the video.
Yeah,
and
but
people
what are we
said
highlighting?
people said they thought that she slipped up and said there's a video of Bryan Kohberger's car.
Okay.
That's it. But I may be wrong, Ms. Taylor.
No, when the court vacated the trial setting, the court vacated all of the deadlines, including the alibi deadline. That wasn't carved out as one that was still held through when the court vacated the rest of its scheduling order. So I don't think that we're foreclosed from that. The court also has the ability to give an extension besides the limited time by statute. In this case, it's more than Bryan was just driving around. We have let the state and the court know that we expect that will be supported by expert testimony and by cross-examination of the state's experts. I need their full cast report and the rest of the discovery related to that before I can say more about that. So to tie me to a deadline when I don't have the rest of the discovery that I've been waiting for that would relate to that will mean that I will be back asking the court to reopen it. My expert can't finish until I get the rest of the discovery as well.
And the discovery you're talking about is a video of the car.
No,
What do you?
So the video that we talk about is one that I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have full video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car. When I'm talking about an alibi defense, unless there's video that shows it else.
So just to be clear, she just said, I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car. Unless I heard that wrong, I'm pretty sure that's what was said.
It's going to use in its case that I don't have full video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car. When I'm talking about an alibi defense, it's going to use in its case that I don't have full video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car. When I'm talking about an alibi defense, unless there's video that shows it elsewhere that I haven't gotten to yet, which may be possible given the fact that there's a lot I haven't seen yet. What I'm talking about though is the cast report.
So that's what we're talking about, right? So she does not say of Bryan's car. She says not of Bryan's car. Yeah, not of Bryan's car. But to be fair, you guys, even if she did say Bryan's car, you got to remember that she's referencing evidence that has been given to her. So even if it did say of Bryan's car, I don't think that's a sign of guilt. necessarily. I hope they have video of his car. Otherwise, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? They better have video of his car. Wouldn't it be insane if they literally have no video of his car anywhere near 1122?
Well, when she said it wasn't of, when she said I'm not talking about any video of Brian's car, I'm assuming she means the video that she is specifically talking about, that she only has pieces of, is not of the car. So then what is it? Is it body cam footage? Like, what is that video then?
She's referencing the car, because then she says, well, unless there is other video of his car that I
Wait.
don't know of.
Okay.
Here, I'll play it one more time.
Yeah, but
I
go
gotta go to
back
the
a little
bathroom.
bit further.
I will.
Than what you did.
Okay, so we'll go back to 109. All right. 30 seconds.
That would relate to that will mean that I will be back asking the court to reopen it. My expert can't finish until I get the rest of the discovery as well.
And the discovery you're talking about is a video of the car.
No, I
What do you?
So the video that we talk about is one that I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have full video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Brian's car. When I'm talking about an alibi defense, unless there's video that shows it elsewhere that I haven't gotten to yet, which may be possible given the fact that there's a lot I haven't seen yet. What I'm talking about though is the CAST report, the drive testing information.
CAST report meaning.
What could she be saying there, unless there's a video I haven't of it that I haven't gotten to yet?
That is the cell tower.
His car?
No, I don't know. It sounds like there could be video of Brian not in his car.
So you're saying
what would you guys think if we got a video of Brian literally walking into the house? I'd be done. That's it.
Yeah.
Over.
That's what I said.
Game.
Yeah.
But set.
If they had that video,
whatever match.
It should have been in the PCA, dude. Like, it would have been game over from the beginning. Why wouldn't you put that in the PCA?
Look, I hear you. It
makes no sense. You didn't even need any more evidence.
Yeah. I bet you anything. With how confident the prosecution is, I bet you anything that they probably have video of him standing in front of the house with a kit, naked. I bet. Yeah. Yeah, the sunroof is interesting. I would be very interested if the car they reference in here has a sunroof. Oh man. Listen, I think the state's case is a mess, you guys. But that much of a mess?
That's too much.
That would be so awful. Do you guys understand how bad that would be if they bring up like video footage and pictures of a white Hyundai Elantra with a sunroof when Bryan Kohberger's does not have it? Do you understand that? What would happen here? There's no way. I don't believe that. I think that's a trolling comment. Like, no, guys. All the video they have of the white Elantra has a sunroof, and they're trying to say it's Bryan Kohberger's. Oh, come on. No, there's no way. There's no way.
Why are you even saying that? Nobody has said that.
Are you serious?
Who said all the footage of his car has a sunroof?
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah, but none of those people are Ann or the judge or Bill Thompson or
yeah,
a cop.
But we are the People's Podcast, so we're going to talk about what the community's talking about.
Okay,
and that is a common statement made, and I don't think that there's no way it could be like that. I just don't see it, you guys. I hope that they
Me
have
either.
a whole bunch of evidence. I really do. I am dead serious. I hope they do.
Dude, I've said
A lot of people get offended every time I say that too.
I know people get really offended when we say that we hope Bryan Kohberger's guilty. It's because it's the best case scenario for everybody involved.
It's the safest
truly is.
outcome.
It is.
It
and
is
it's
the safest.
Everybody gets justice. There's not a killer on the loose. Like, simple as that. Best
Yeah.
case scenario for everybody.
Yeah.
If he is guilty and gets convicted, I mean, if he gets let go, we got a whole nother problem on our hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I am very concerned for this situation. I really am. I really am, you guys. I really am. You know what's interesting? So we've been covering the 4chan. Oh, you guys, I put together the 4chan, all our 4chan videos into a
Its own playlist.
yeah, its own playlist, like we had been talking about. Hang on here. For everybody that's been asking us to do this, this is all of our 4chan related videos. I believe it's 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think they're in order from bottom to top. They're in order from bottom to top, okay? Here. Everyone has been asking us to put them all together. So hang on one sec. Here we go, you guys. Okay. So you start at the bottom here. This is number 1. And you can tell by the how long ago it was put out. So this first one was put out 4 months ago. Then we have number 2. Then we have 4chan circa 1826. Then we have the what's his name? I always forget his name. Joseph Y. Derrick. Yeah. Then we have Hudson Lindau, Frat Boy 4chan review, and then we have the timeline. So that is everything.
Yeah, exactly, Megan. I think the same thing. If they had footage of somebody going into the house who was unidentified, it would have been all over the place. But you would have thought they would have gave us a picture of the car.
Yeah.
Like, it's
yeah, why Derek is there?
Like, why didn't they give us a picture of the car? Why give a stock image? Why not a picture from surveillance video on the street? Why didn't they give that? Because that's not normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I really hope they have a good amount of evidence. I do. I do.
There's no reason to show 2 cars and ask for tips. Where did they come up with the sunroof? So what? This comes from them showing 2 different images of cars asking for tips? And one had a sunroof and one didn't?
Yeah. Plus there's some other footage of him driving around down south that supposedly has a sunroof. But look, you guys, the sunroof is just insanely absurd to me. The tinted windows, I feel like that's something that somebody could get wrong more easily, right? Because tint can be removed and stuff. But a sunroof, like, nobody's going to get a sunroof installed or filled, you know what I mean? So it's just interesting. I'm just saying, it's just interesting. It would be the most insane evidence ever. They just couldn't get away with that. They couldn't get away with that.
No. Like, no way.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
That's too obvious.
I agree with you.
It's weird though. Like, it is weird that they would show a stock image with a sunroof. I mean, that's why would they do that? I mean, that's why, like, why not show an image of the car on surveillance? Because that picture that we got from the gas station that Nancy Grace likes to act like broke the whole case wide open. That didn't come from police. That's not where we got that from. So I just don't understand. Like, why do we not have a single picture of the car other than that random one supposedly from the gas station? I've heard so many people say they think that picture is fake. There's some weird things about that picture. Gosh. I feel like I'm getting bit on my back. Like such a sharp pain. Something's going on with my neck, you guys. Sorry. I know I'm really fidgety. It's because like I just keep getting these like really sharp pains. Like I feel like someone's sticking a needle in my neck and my back just randomly. Yeah, the whole thing with the car, I mean, that's concerned me from the beginning, is that there's no images of it. I don't understand that. Like, you know, when you it was the Savannah Soto case. Like, look how quickly the public got footage of that to try to help identify the vehicles and the suspects. Yeah, it's not about giving the public evidence before a trial. It's about giving, like, when you're asking the public for help to help identify something, like the public helps solve cases. They break cases wide open. If not every case, most of them. Like the Savannah Soto case, like they put out that footage of them with the two cars to get people to help identify it, and they do that all the time. So it's just odd that we never got a single picture to help identify anything. It's weird. It's really weird.
It is weird.
With this being such a big deal, like such a big case, it's just really odd.
Yeah, and make sure you guys, if you're having a good time, please hit that like button. Please leave a comment under the videos you watch. I tried explaining this to everyone because a lot of our viewers didn't know. And you know, Thought Riot Podcast, we've been really good about building a community here. We have so much of a following internationally that we have been in the top 5 in 4 different countries for true crime podcasts, you guys. We have a massive international following, which is incredible. It is incredible, and all because of you guys. So to continue that momentum, so we can get to a place where we can do this more full time and maybe do daily news stories similar to like what mainstream media can do, hitting that like button and leaving a comment, even if you just stop by in the comments to say hi, hello, leave an emote, that goes a long way. And we would really appreciate that. So please hit that like and leave a comment whenever you have a second.
I gotta stretch. It feels like somebody's literally sticking a needle in my back right now. So hold on.
Oh, needles and backs. Maybe it's a spider bite or something.
Feels like it hurts.
But yeah, we appreciate all of you, and huge shout out, you guys. We just hit 10,000 subs too, so that is all you. That is all you guys. So we appreciate you. You guys are amazing. You are all Thought Riot Podcast. We're just here to talk on your behalf and hopefully to promote thought-provoking thought riots. So yeah. But this hearing is interesting. It's interesting. And it the more I think about it, the more it drives me crazy. I got to be honest. When I first thought of this, when I first watched this, I was like, oh my gosh. I was kind of blown away at how Ann Taylor portrayed her struggle with having to deal with the x-rays, because dude, what she explained, if that doesn't sound like police corruption, what does? What does, right? It makes it sound like they're trying to hide things. However, right, we're going to be objective here. What is some other reasons why she could not be getting some of the evidence? What are some other reasons? Do they really save it in two different spots to where they could accidentally send thumbs without anything in it? You know, Chris McDonough, right? And we gave him a big intro yesterday, but he is a retired police officer. He has a lot of pull in the true crime community because of his experience as a police officer.
He was a homicide investigator in LA for a long time.
Yeah. And he continues his career as a content creator and talking about true crime.
He's retired and he still works on cases through the Cold Case Foundation and is a content creator.
Yeah. And you know, I wish I could share my experience with you guys, but the CIA doesn't let me. No, but really. So with Chris McDonough, he said, okay, I don't want to say this because I feel like it's going to come off biased, but I support his statement here. He says that the prosecution, in his experience, they're politicians. They are there to promote what the state wants, okay? So they're going to make decisions on behalf of the state in ways that best supports the state, not necessarily a fair trial, but what promotes the state's goals.
Yeah, well, what he said exactly was he's talking about the Chapins, and he's basically saying you need to advocate. You can't just trust the system. And I say this as someone who was literally in it. But you can't trust prosecutors. All they care about is essentially their conviction rate, closing cases. And when they're elected, they are a politician, so you can't trust them even more. And I feel like we've been trying to say that, you know, this whole time, but it just goes to show you there's flaws in our system, and politics should never be a part of the justice system,
which is why
they should be separate.
Green should have never been in there. Green is a politician, dude. That's exactly what he is in that area. Unfortunately, he's like, just an uncommon politician.
That's what he's trying to be. Okay.
He's an uncommon politician. Can you imagine what would happen? Like, I'm not even gonna go into it. I'm gonna wait to share the evidence till Friday. But we have it, the monetary values at play here with this case is just insane. It is wild stuff, you guys. And I don't think anyone can argue with whether you think Bryan Kohberger is guilty, whether you think Bryan Kohberger is innocent, whether you don't know. All right. Everybody knows you follow the money. You follow the money.
That's what Chris did in that
case.
That's what he said. He's like, well, I'm going to follow. He said, he was asking himself questions. He's like, well, you know, I believe you should always follow the money. And that's what he did. And that's been a big issue here with the university from the beginning. One of the first Idaho 4 videos we did in the beginning was why money matters. And it matters a lot. And we all know money makes the world go round. We all know it's incredibly important, but sometimes, I think, you know, we can be biased in a certain way and thinking that, you know, a university, like, cause it's not this, like, people wouldn't think of a university like a corporation, but it is. Like, a lot of people wouldn't think of it that way. I don't think I would have thought about it that way if it weren't for what Brendan has taught me about corporate America, because he's worked in it for so long. So many things, like a police station, you might as well consider that a corporation. That's how America is. It's literally America Incorporated. But the university, like, reading Green's book shows you it runs like a corporation, and he is the CEO.
Yeah. He is
the elected CEO.
Yeah. In my opinion, it has been a giant poop shoot since he's been there, in my opinion. But you know, there's some additional evidence around that too that we need to really dig into. Green is the university president for the University of Idaho.
Dude, it was warm.
Hey, Jennifer, new member. All right.
It was warm
We
for
appreciate
one
ya.
day. One day. And I have a mosquito bite.
Oh.
One day it was warm.
Oh.
And the mosquitoes just swarmed.
Yeah. But it's
So
definitely
ridiculous.
it's interesting. It's interesting. I think it's interesting that you probably were a member, but YouTube has been really lame about how they manage members. Like if you don't have enough activity on a channel, they'll boot you off, which is really strange.
Yeah, well,
but
she has a 1, so
Yeah.
she's clearly been a member. And
Yep.
thank you for being here, Jennifer.
yeah,
We appreciate
absolutely.
you a ton.
Yeah, yeah. I just hope that we have some kind of fair presentation of evidence here. You know, whether those text messages are real or not, the eyewitnesses should never be depended on, in my opinion. That should be the last case scenario, is an eyewitness. That needs to be somebody on the back burner, in my opinion. Especially in a case like this where the potential eyewitnesses could have gone through a traumatic situation.
Yeah.
So wild. But yeah, so we were able to give away a whole bunch of memberships yesterday, which
A
was
lot.
incredible. Yes, we got a whole bunch of people in here as members, and we have the members portion of the show where we do about an hour and a half on here. And then we cut over to the members portion where we talk directly with our members and, you know, get more personal. And it's private. And it's a lot of fun. So we are going to switch over to the members portion now. So we appreciate everybody, every single one of you. If you had a good time, that's incredible. And that is our goal in being here, is promoting thought, deep thought, think tanks, and having a good time doing it.
And if you missed out on the memberships yesterday, don't worry. You will get another chance. We promise. We try to give out a whole bunch, you know, regularly. We want to give back and make sure everybody gets the chance to be a member and be a part of it. So you'll get your chance, unless you're CH. Unless you're CH. I don't understand it. I wish we could figure it out for you, CH. I'm so sorry. But thank you, Kimmy. Thank you, all of you. We appreciate you guys and all of your support.
Yes, we do. You guys are awesome. And remember, you are all Thought Riot Podcast. It is the people's podcast, and it is all yours. We are just here to talk with you, for you, and through these topics. So hit that thumbs up button, hit that leave a comment button, and make sure you leave some reviews on the podcast platforms. If you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple Podcast, hop on there and leave us a review. The members button I will post now. Hang on 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second and I will post that. So if you want to come hang out, it will start right after this. That is the members link. And everybody else, if you're not on Discord or you're expecting to get your alerts from YouTube, they have some areas of opportunity when it comes to alerting members and subscribers when new content's coming out. But a way around that is either our Discord or our Patreon, you guys. Discord and Patreon are like the two main ones that I focus on. We do have paid tiers in Patreon, but it's not a requirement. We have a free tier too, and that free tier gets all the alerts. So hop in there and check it out, and you'll get your alerts in there. So for everyone else, I think I posted that, right? I did the
Plumbing said you pointed right at them.
at who?
Plumbing. That when you pointed and said this podcast is for you, you pointed right at Plumbing
Yeah, I did.
and was like, that's so cool.
Okay, so I just posted them. So we are going to swap over now. You guys, did you post the link?
What
to it?
link?
To the members only?
No, was I supposed to? I thought that's literally what you were doing.
No, it's okay. I got it.
Okay.
Hang on. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so this is the members. Wham bam. Bam, 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 bam. All right, friends. We appreciate you. All of you. Yes, you. Right there. You especially. All right. This has been a Thought Riot podcast production. This is the True Crime Talk Show. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Malia. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a great night, everybody.
See you later. Members, see you in 2 seconds. Hop
Yes,
over.
We are already over here. Talk to you soon. Let those thoughts riot.